Hey, what's going on, guys? Balinations Emperor here, back today with another video. And guys, happy spooky season. We are officially in October, which means it is officially the time of spooky scary skeletons. To celebrate this occasion, I got several recommendations on the Discord and a few here even on YouTube to do a series or to do the a discussion series specifically focusing on the infected. For those who might be unaware, who might just need a simple reminder, the infected were a series of units within Battle Nations that were brought up during Halloween, which were, in all intents and purposes, zombies. Floyd, of course, wouldn't like me to say that, but that's all they simply were. They were zombies in Battle Nations, and a lot of players, myself included, considered them to be one of, if not the best themed units in all of Battle Nations. So we're going to jump into it, but before we do, just want to cover two things. One, how do you like that? I finally learned some basic video editing. It was a combination of my computer being a little bit tricky and me just being ignorant when it comes to video editing. But I can throw my own face up on here. I'm going to be using that a lot more in the future and even in this video right here. But so that's one. Two, I did get a new microphone. You're currently listening to me speak it right now. This is the Logitech I had been talking about in the Discord and here on YouTube. So ever since I started recording Battle Nations content on my computer, I've gone through three different microphones, but this one is the highest quality, or at least the most expensive. So please let me know what you guys think about it. I think it's the best quality, but if you guys liked some previous version, just let me know. I can switch back to it. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into today's topic, which is, of course, going to be about the infected. But as I was preluding to a little bit, it's gonna be all about October, since October is spooky season, and since the infected has just so much content. I mean, there was a lot of infected content. I mean, even just the troops. I mean, there were multiple different classes. I'm not even just talking about the boss strike units. I'm literally just talking about infected units in general. But we're going to get into them in this series, in this October series. But today we're going to be focusing on just the boss strikes, because just the infected boss strike by itself was peak Battle Nations. In my opinion, was literally peak Battle Nations. So, for any of those unaware or who might just need a quick little reminder, for the first October since Battle Nations, since boss strikes were introduced in Battle Nations, there was every October the Infected event, which was again just basically zombies taking over and being the boss strike of the month. Now, just like any boss strike, there were limited edition units gained at Tier 3, Tier 7, and Tier 10. However, these units were beyond cool because not they weren't just regular, airplanes as it was for every other boss strike. These were specifically infected, or more realistically, zombie units. So they were absolutely impeccable, and we're going to be covering each one of them today. So first of all, I haven't even been moving in the background. I'm terribly sorry. I've been focusing so much on my mic and script that I completely forgot about it. But let's jump right into it with first the infected bullfrog. Should be appearing on the screen right now. He was tier 3. He is what most people got. And despite him being relatively weaker compared to the other infected units, he was your first trophy unit. He was your first trophy infected. If you had him, again, congratulations. Nobody except anybody who got tier 3 in the zombie, boss strike is going to get to have him. He was mainly a ranged attacker. He dealt splash damage to most units, and most of his attacks focused on splash damage or specific attack splash to one particular unit. And despite Guess not really being that special and being, besides the Striker, one of the only few units you can train outside of the Boss Strike, you can train the prototype of him along with various other Boss Strike adjacent units. He was very special. A lot of players were still getting used to the Boss Strike. This Boss Strike was still only Boss Strike number 4 in the grand scheme of things. The first Halloween Boss Strike was Boss Strike number 4. So a lot of players only really got to get as far as tier 3. So again, nothing to write home about, but certainly a very cool tier 3. So jumping all the way immediately from that to tier 7, we have the Striker. The Striker was an immediate step up in power, and oh my goodness, was he cool. Just from the design of him, which you can see right here, not only was he just extremely cool looking, he was a very strong unit. He had an attack that I believe he's most well known for, which was a simple slash against the enemy field. Jump high into the sky would be the animation for it, and he would just slash the opposition. It was unbelievably cool. He as well had a prototype that the players could train and again technically, get of your own, but he was the strongest version of it, and he of course was the limited edition version of that. So again, if you get him, congratulations, you're part of the elite group that does. You're part of the cool kids. Everybody else who didn't is not. But of course, there was one group slightly cooler than the Striker, and of course, that would be none other than Tier 7, the Apex Colossal. The Apex Colossal. What can I say about this guy? Not only does he just look like a zoided out version of the Hulk, kind of looks like a zombie Hulk, if you will, this guy was an absolute beast in gameplay as well. He was not only the perfect trophy unit, he was not only the arguably coolest designed theme unit in Battle Nations ever, he was an absolute Revic. I mean, he had multiple different attacks. He could take a punching, let me tell you that. But in all sense of the word, he was basically just a stronger Wimp. You know how the Wimp had the 3 in front, 3 on the side attack? He had both of them, and it was extremely powerful. Not only that, he also had an ability that would launch out the spikes from him. So you see those spikes on his back, he would launch those out in a formatted pattern, which would do splash damage across the entire arena. Not as strong as something like the legendary Mammoth's, Roar, which damages the entire field, but still, at that time, which of course this was before a lot of those overpowered units like the legendary animals came out, this was something to write home about. This was amazing. So he was basically just a super strong, beefed up, cool looking Wimp, and unlike the other previous two, the Bullfrog and the Striker, there was no way to get this guy. This guy didn't have a prototype, so the only way to truly get him or anything really like him was the tier 10 boss strike of this unit. So unbelievably cool. And just off seeing those 3 units, I hope I've kind of cleared home that these units were amazing. I mean, the airplanes were also cool. They're also amazing. Nobody's doubting that, or at least I'm certainly not. But you can tell for Boss Strike 4, this Boss Strike, they went above and beyond. They went sicko mode, and it shows because my goodness was this Boss Strike amazing. And even just the promotional unit. Now, this was the Zombie Hunter. You can see him right here. Again, amazing design like all these other units. And while he wasn't maybe as strong as a lot of players has hoped, I know he was certainly on the weaker side of limited edition units, he was certainly well themed. I think a problem Z2 had, especially later on, was the factor that a lot of these units just really didn't match their theming, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, first Boss Strike, AA to introduce, to take down these, new limited edition units. Boss Strike 4, as we're talking right here, this Zombie Hunter guy, awesome, maybe not as strong as, some other limited edition, but oh my goodness, does he match the theming perfectly. You got all these zombies running around, boom, Zombie Hunter, right? So, again, theming matches up perfectly, at least in my opinion. So, I would say that this Boss Strike was not only peak Boss Strike, really, theming and everything, it really was Battle Nations at its brightest, in my opinion. It was Battle Nations at its strongest. It was Battle Nations showing what can truly be when it's a great game. And if we get even a resemblance of the Infected or the Infected theming in the new Battle Nations, oh my goodness, I will be beyond in love with this new remake. I already no-lifed it as a teenager. I'll have to no-life it as an adult. So, yeah, that's what I just wanted to focus on this video. Getting the new mic test out, getting the new editing tested out, seeing what you guys thought of that, and also just doing a brief overview of the Infected Boss Strike. Don't worry, we have plenty of more Infected story to cover. We have the missions to cover. We have the prototype units to cover, the ones that you built within the base. I didn't even get to discuss those. The Infected Hospital, which before we end this video, let me just at least get you some guys a view of it in game real quick. if I can find it. My goodness. Here it is. The Infected Test Facility. Pitched by some as an alternate medicine, the Infected Test Facility offers an alternative to disease, thought, and free will. Used with caution, it's a one-way transformation. This thing could take regular units and transform them into zombies. It was terrifying. That's the animation down there. And yeah, if you put a unit into this, you were never getting it back regular. You were turning it into a zombie using the dark matter exclusive promotional unit that was for this boss strike and for this infected event. So yeah, we got a bunch of infected content to cover that we'll be covering all throughout October, all throughout spooky season. And yeah, guys, tell me what your thoughts on. What did you think of the infected boss strike? What did you think of the units, tier 3 Bullfrog, tier 7 Striker, and tier 10 Colossal? What did you think about the infected events overall? Is there anything in particular you'd like to see covered in the next video about the infected? What are your thoughts on the infected as a whole? Leave all your comments and anything else Battle Nations related down in the comments below. I'd love to read them. I'd love to reply to them. And that will do it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like down below if you liked today's video. And with all that being said, thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day.